The girl tightened her grip on the boy's tiny hand as they stepped into the dim interior of the bus. The driver gave them a tired glance, his eyes narrowing at the sight of her ragged clothes and the child who clung to her as if she were his lifeline. "Fare," the driver muttered, tapping the coin box impatiently. She looked down at her palm, where the last of her coins rested, barely enough for one seat. A knot formed in her chest. Should she ride alone, leaving the boy behind, or surrender it all for him? Without hesitation, she dropped every coin she had into the slot and guided the boy to an empty seat at the very back. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, but when she saw the child's tired eyes and fragile frame, she knew she had made the right choice. The boy leaned against her shoulder, his small fingers clutching her sleeve as though he feared she might disappear if he let go. "What's your name?" she whispered, brushing his damp hair away from his forehead. He hesitated, then mumbled, "Eli." The name felt soft on her tongue, like a fragile melody carried by the wind. "Eli," she repeated, as though committing it to her soul. "And you?" he asked, his voice so faint she almost missed it. She swallowed hard. No one had asked her name in weeks, maybe months. "I'm Anna," she whispered, almost ashamed, as if her name no longer belonged to her. Eli smiled faintly, resting his head against her arm. "Anna, you're warm." Those simple words, spoken by a boy who had nothing, lit a fire in her heart that the cold could not extinguish. She wrapped her arm around him, promising silently that he would never feel abandoned again. As the bus rattled along the dark streets, Anna thought of her past, the house she had lost when her parents died, the job that had crumbled beneath debts, the friends who disappeared when poverty replaced her laughter. She had been cast aside, deemed unworthy, invisible to the world. But here, in this fragile moment, a child who had no reason to trust anyone chose her. And that choice gave her strength. She did not know where the bus was heading, she only knew that wherever Eli went, she would follow. Around them, passengers whispered, some glancing with suspicion, others with pity, but Anna ignored them. For the first time in a long while, she was not entirely alone. Hours passed, and the bus grew emptier until only Anna, Eli, and the driver remained. The vehicle came to a stop near an old station, its flickering lights casting eerie shadows. "Last stop," the driver called, his voice gruff. Anna shook Eli gently, and his eyes fluttered open. She carried him off the bus, the night colder than before, yet somehow less cruel with him by her side. They wandered through the quiet streets until they stumbled upon an abandoned building with broken windows and a rusted gate. Anna guided Eli inside, clearing a corner where they could rest. She took off her sweater, thin as it was, and wrapped it around him. He shivered less, his little body curling against hers as they lay on the cold floor. "Why were you alone, Eli?" she asked softly, brushing her fingers through his hair. His voice cracked with a truth too heavy for his age. "My daddy left one night and never came back. Mommy got sick. I waited and waited, but then people came and took her away. They said I couldn't stay. So I ran. I didn't want to go where they said." Anna's heart shattered. This boy had carried more pain than most grown men, yet he spoke of it with the fragile calm of someone who had accepted sorrow as his companion. She kissed the top of his head and whispered, "You don't have to be alone anymore. I promise." Eli's small hand reached for hers, squeezing it gently before sleep claimed him. In the silence of the night, Anna stared at the cracked ceiling and let her tears flow freely, but this time they were not tears of despair. They were tears of purpose, for she had found someone worth fighting for. She did not know how they would survive, what tomorrow would bring, or how the world would treat them. But she knew this, she had been given a second chance at life through a child's simple question. "Can you be my mommy?" Those words became her anchor, her vow, her reason to stand again. Somewhere deep within, Anna believed this meeting was no accident, it was destiny stitching together two broken hearts. And as dawn crept slowly across the sky, painting it with hues of gold and pink. Anna whispered to the sleeping boy, "Eli, from now on, I'll be everything you need. Even if the world turns against us, I'll fight for you." And dear viewer, if you feel the power of this moment, if you believe in love born from brokenness and in second chances, then stay with us, because this story is just beginning. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, so you won't miss the journey of Anna and Eli, a journey that will break your heart, heal your soul, and remind you what true family really means. The morning light spilled weakly through the broken windows of the abandoned building, illuminating the dust that floated like forgotten memories in the air. Anna sat awake long before Eli stirred, her mind racing with questions she had no answers for. How would she feed him? Where would they go? Could she even protect him when she had failed so many times to protect herself? But when Eli shifted beside her, rubbing his sleepy eyes and whispering, "Good morning, Mommy," something inside her broke and healed at the same time. He had claimed her, without hesitation, without doubt, and she could not betray that trust. "Good morning, Eli," she replied, forcing a smile, even though her stomach was hollow and her bones ached from the cold. She brushed the dust off his little jacket and said, "Let's find something to eat." They ventured out into the waking town, their steps slow, cautious, as people bustled past them, rushing to jobs, schools, and shops. To everyone else, they were just shadows, an invisible girl with nothing and a small boy clinging to her hand. Anna's eyes scanned every corner, desperate for a sign of hope. Outside a bakery, the smell of fresh bread tortured her senses. Eli pressed his face against the glass, staring longingly at the golden loaves lined in neat rows. Anna's heart twisted. She rummaged through her backpack, but there was nothing, no coins, no scraps, only the echo of hunger. She was about to pull Eli away when an elderly woman stepped out of the shop, her eyes falling on them. For a moment Anna expected to be chased off, but instead, the woman handed Eli a small roll of bread. "For the boy," she said softly, her voice filled with quiet understanding. Eli's eyes widened as he clutched the bread with trembling hands, and Anna's own eyes brimmed with tears. She quickly blinked away. She whispered 1,000 thank yous, but the woman only nodded and walked away. That single act of kindness carried them through the day, though Anna let Eli eat most of the bread, pretending she wasn't hungry. As night fell again, they returned to the abandoned building, their new shelter. Eli, full of questions, asked about her past, about why she had been alone at the bus stop. Anna hesitated but then spoke of her parents, of how she had lost everything when sickness and debt had consumed her family. "I thought I was meant to live with nothing," she admitted, her voice breaking. Eli's tiny hand reached for hers, squeezing it with strength far beyond his years. "Not nothing," he whispered, "you have me now." And in that moment, Anna knew he was right. The next days blurred into survival. Anna searched for work, knocking on doors, begging for even the smallest chance. Most people turned her away with sharp eyes and harsh words. "We don't need someone like you," they said, or worse, ignored her completely. Each rejection cut deeper than the last, but when she looked at Eli's hopeful face, she found strength she didn't know she had. Finally, in a small diner on the edge of town, the weary owner gave her a broom and said, "If you can clean, you can stay for food." Anna worked until her hands blistered, scrubbing floors, washing dishes, carrying boxes. She didn't care how hard it was, every bite of food she brought back to Eli was worth more than gold. And each night, as they shared scraps of meals, Eli would smile at her as though she had given him a feast. But survival was never easy. Whispers began to spread, about the homeless girl and the boy who clung to her. Some pitied them, others judged them. One evening, as Anna walked Eli back to their shelter, a man confronted her, his tone dripping with accusation. "Is that boy even yours? You think you can just take someone's child and claim to be his mother?" Anna froze, clutching Eli to her chest. Fear coursed through her veins, but she met the man's gaze and said firmly, "Yes. He's mine." He chose me." The man scoffed, shaking his head, but the doubt he planted lingered. That night, Anna lay awake, wondering if the world would try to take Eli away from her. But when Eli stirred in his sleep, murmuring "Mommy" with such pure trust, she knew she would fight the world itself before letting him go. Time passed, and slowly their lives began to change. Anna's hard work earned her the respect of the diner owner, who offered her longer shifts and meals she could take home. They managed to find a small room to rent, a space barely larger than a closet, with a mattress on the floor and a single lamp, but to Anna and Eli, it felt like a castle. They decorated it with drawings Eli made on scraps of paper, taped proudly to the walls. For the first time in years, Anna had something to call home. Still, challenges never stopped coming. Eli grew sick one winter night, his body racked with fever. Anna panicked, her heart breaking as she held his burning little frame. She rushed him to a clinic, where the doctor demanded payment she didn't have. With tears in her eyes, she fell to her knees, begging them to save him. "I'll work, I'll clean, I'll do anything, please, just help him." The doctor hesitated but then agreed, touched by her desperation. Anna stayed by Eli's side, holding his hand, praying with every ounce of her being. "Please, God, don't take him. Don't take the only reason I'm still here." When Eli finally opened his eyes, weak but smiling, whispering "Mommy," Anna wept with relief. That moment carved a permanent vow in her heart: she would never let him suffer again. Together, they faced each day with courage. Eli grew stronger, and Anna's resolve grew fiercer. Their bond, once formed at a lonely bus stop, became unbreakable. They were not just a girl and a boy anymore, they were mother and son, chosen by fate, bound by love. And though the world doubted them, judged them, and tried to tear them apart, they held onto each other and rose from the ashes of their broken pasts. Their story was not just about survival. It was about love that defied